Food safety experts are issuing urgent warnings about 8 UK canned foods that could trigger medical emergencies in older adults, and you probably have several sitting in your cupboard right now. What you are about to discover will shock every UK family. That innocent tin of tomato soup contains more sugar than a jam tart, quietly spiking blood glucose to dangerous levels in seniors managing diabetes. Meanwhile, those value-range canned meats are packed with enough sodium to trigger hypertension crises in people on heart medication. 20 years ago, when your parents stocked their pantries, canned foods were simple preserved ingredients: tomatoes, salt, water. Today, they are chemical laboratories designed for shelf life over human life, targeting the very customers whose health is most fragile with ingredients their doctors would ban. Here is what makes this a crisis. Seniors relying on convenient canned meals are unknowingly consuming combinations of additives, sugars, and sodium that can interfere with their medications and worsen chronic conditions. Every tin they open thinking it is safe nutrition could be sabotaging their health. If you or someone you love keeps canned foods for convenience, this investigation could prevent a medical emergency. Stay until the end. What I reveal about canned fruit will prove how dangerous this deception has become. Number 1. Heinz cream of tomato soup. Let's start with perhaps the most shocking discovery in British cupboards. That comforting tin of Heinz cream of tomato soup sitting in your pantry. It looks innocent enough, doesn't it? The familiar red label, the nostalgic taste that reminds many of childhood lunches. But beneath that wholesome facade lies a dangerous deception that is specifically harmful to older adults. What makes this tin so problematic? It is not just soup, it is essentially a sugar bomb disguised as nutritious comfort food. A standard serving contains 12 to 15 grams of added sugar. To put that into perspective, that is more sugar than you would find in a McVitie's digestive biscuit, or even a small jam tart. Now imagine your elderly mum or dad with diabetes pouring this down their throat, thinking they are having a sensible lunch. The worst part? This is not accidental. Food scientists have deliberately calibrated these formulations to hit the bliss point, the perfect balance of sugar, salt, and fat that makes us crave more. For younger people with robust metabolisms, this might just mean a bit of extra weight. But for seniors managing diabetes, this hidden sugar creates a genuine medical risk. When elderly people with diabetes consume this much concealed sugar, their blood glucose levels do not just rise, they spike dramatically. This can trigger immediate symptoms like dizziness, confusion, and extreme fatigue. For someone already on medication to control their diabetes, these unexpected sugar bombs can completely destabilize their carefully managed treatment plans. And it is not just the immediate glucose risk. These high sugar levels trigger inflammation throughout the body, the very inflammation that worsens arthritis and joint pain in pensioners. So that tin your nan reaches for when her joints are aching might actually be making her condition worse with every spoonful. The marketing is particularly clever too. They position tomato soup as practically medicinal, warming, comforting, and nutritious, while delivering sugar levels that would make most doctors recoil in horror if they knew their elderly patients were consuming them regularly. Number 2. Prince's Value Range canned ham. If you thought the soup situation was dodgy, wait until you see what is lurking in those value range canned meats that so many pensioners rely on to stretch their limited budgets. Prince's Value Range canned ham might seem like a bargain at first glance, affordable protein that keeps for ages without refrigeration. But that convenience comes at a devastating cost to elderly health. The primary concern here is not sugar, it is sodium, and in absolutely shocking quantities. A single serving of this budget canned meat delivers 800 to 1,200 milligrams of sodium. To put that into context, that is up to half the entire day's recommended salt intake in just one small portion of ham. For seniors on fixed incomes trying to make economical food choices, this is a proper health catastrophe hiding in plain sight. Why is this particularly dangerous for older adults? Because excessive sodium intake does not affect everyone equally. For seniors already taking blood pressure medications or diuretics, some of the most commonly prescribed drugs for people over 65, this salt overload can trigger dangerous spikes in blood pressure that their medications simply cannot control. The NHS guidelines are crystal clear about sodium restrictions for people with hypertension, heart failure, or kidney disease, all conditions that become more common with age. Yet these budget canned meats contain sodium levels that directly contradict medical advice for the very population most likely to purchase them. Even more concerning is how this affects aging kidneys. As we get older, our kidneys naturally become less efficient at filtering waste and maintaining electrolyte balance. These extremely high sodium levels force already weakened kidneys to work overtime, accelerating kidney damage in a population already vulnerable to kidney disease. But perhaps the most cynical aspect of this whole situation is why manufacturers add so much salt in the first place. It is not just for preservation, it is deliberately used to mask poor quality meat while creating an addictive flavor profile. The manufacturers know full well that once elderly consumers develop a taste for these products, they will keep coming back, creating a vicious cycle of dependency on foods that are actively damaging their health. Moving on to a British tea time staple marketed as family-friendly, Heinz spaghetti hoops. These bright orange rings swimming in sweet tomato sauce might seem like harmless comfort food, but they are actually a proper chemical nightmare for aging digestive tracts. Let us examine what is actually inside these tins beyond the pasta and tomato sauce. You will find a lengthy list of stabilizers, thickeners, and preservatives that most people cannot even pronounce. Ingredients like modified maize starch, gar gum, and various natural flavorings that are not natural at all. Stabilizers. Like these are added to change texture and shelf life, but they do not always agree with older bodies. For younger people with robust digestive systems, these additives might cause minimal issues. For seniors with more sensitive stomachs, a normal consequence of aging, these chemical stabilizers can trigger severe digestive distress. Ingredients such as carrageenan have been linked to intestinal inflammation and digestive discomfort in older adults, causing bloating, cramping, and diarrhea that can be genuinely debilitating for pensioners. The artificial colors are another significant concern. Those vibrant orange hues do not come from tomatoes, they come from color additives that have been associated with allergic reactions and increased inflammation, particularly in people with already sensitive systems. When an elderly person experiences unexplained stomach pain or digestive upset, few would think to blame that innocent tin of spaghetti hoops they have been eating for decades. Beyond the chemical concerns, there is the blood sugar issue. Canned pasta products like these hoops contain highly refined carbohydrates that convert to sugar almost immediately upon digestion. For seniors, especially those with insulin resistance or prediabetes, this rapid glucose spike followed by an inevitable crash can cause symptoms like weakness, dizziness, and confusion, symptoms that might be misattributed to other age-related conditions rather than their diet. The marketing for these products cleverly plays on nostalgia and comfort, positioning them as traditional British cupboard staples. Many elderly consumers purchase them because they have been eating them their entire lives, completely unaware that the formulations have changed dramatically over the decades to include more preservatives, more additives, and more problematic ingredients than ever before. Now we come to what might be the most deceptive product of all: canned fruit that masquerades as a healthy choice while delivering a shocking sugar assault. Del Monte fruit cocktail in syrup is a clear example of health halo marketing, products that seem nutritious but actually undermine health, particularly for vulnerable populations like the elderly. Get straight to the numbers, because they are genuinely alarming. A standard serving of this fruit cocktail contains between 15 and 25 grams of added sugar, that is 3 to 5 teaspoons depending on the exact variety. Compare that to fresh fruit, which contains about 5 to 8 grams of natural sugars, along with fiber that slows absorption. What is being marketed as a nutritious fruit portion is effectively dessert in disguise. For seniors managing diabetes or pre-diabetes, this concealed sugar poses serious health risks. When elderly individuals consume what they believe is a healthy fruit portion, they are not expecting a massive glucose spike that could potentially interfere with their carefully managed medication regimens. This is particularly dangerous because many seniors eat this with breakfast, alongside medications that might be affected by sudden sugar spikes. Even more concerning is how this excess sugar interacts with common heart medications prescribed to older adults. Drugs like beta blockers and ACE inhibitors, some of the most frequently prescribed medications for seniors, can have altered efficacy when taken with high sugar foods. Many elderly patients would never connect medication side effects or reduced effectiveness to the canned fruit they have been consuming for years. The caloric density of these syrup-laden fruits also contributes to weight management challenges in older adults. As metabolism naturally slows with age, these hidden calories can lead to gradual weight gain that worsens mobility issues, increases joint pain, and compounds existing health problems. Yet because the product carries the health halo of fruit, many seniors continue consuming it regularly, unaware of the damage it is causing. The most cynical aspect of this marketing is how it exploits seniors' genuine desire to include more healthy foods in their diet. Elderly people choose canned fruit often because they want nutritious options that are easy to prepare and have a long shelf life. They are making what they believe is a health-conscious choice, only to be betrayed by manufacturers prioritizing taste and shelf stability over actual nutritional value. Number 5. Patak's canned curry. Many people see this as a convenient way to enjoy international cuisine without the fuss. While these ready-to-heat curries might seem like a simple option for seniors, they hide a hidden fat catastrophe that is dangerous for older adults with heart concerns. The fundamental problem with these canned curry formulations is their shocking fat content, particularly saturated fat. A single serving typically contains between 8 and 12 grams of saturated fat, much of it coming from coconut cream, palm oil, and other highly saturated fats used to create the rich, creamy texture that makes these curries so appealing. For context, that is nearly half the daily recommended maximum saturated fat intake in just one portion. For older adults with existing heart conditions or high cholesterol, both common among people over 65, consuming these fat-laden curries creates immediate cardiovascular risks. Medical research has consistently shown that meals high in saturated fat can temporarily impair blood vessel function and increase the workload on an already compromised heart, potentially triggering acute cardiac events in vulnerable individuals. The digestion of these heavy, oil-laden formulations poses another specific risk for seniors. As we age, digestive systems naturally produce less bile and fewer digestive enzymes, making it harder to break down and process fats. For older adults, consuming these extremely fatty curries can trigger severe acid reflux, indigestion, and painful bloating, symptoms that can be particularly distressing for those already dealing with age-related digestive changes. What makes this especially troubling is the deliberate marketing of these products as authentic ethnic cuisine that brings variety to elderly diets. Many seniors, particularly those living alone, purchase these canned curries seeking flavor diversity and culinary experiences they might not otherwise have. Packaging and promotion emphasize exotic spices and cultural authenticity rather than the dangerous fat levels that would alarm any cardiologist treating elderly patients. It is worth noting that traditional curry dishes from South Asian cuisine often contain healthy fats from natural sources, along with beneficial spices like turmeric and ginger. But these mass-produced canned versions strip away most of the beneficial compounds while maximizing the problematic fats that extend shelf life but endanger heart health, a trade-off that specifically victimizes elderly consumers seeking both convenience and flavor. Now we need to examine another deceptive comfort food sitting in cupboards across Britain: Kraft cheesy pasta. This small, unassuming tin might appear to contain a modest portion of comforting pasta, but it actually delivers a caloric and fat density that poses specific dangers to elderly digestive systems and cardiovascular health. A single small tin of this macaroni cheese contains between 15 and 20 grams of saturated fat. That is over 75% of the daily recommended maximum in just one meal. For seniors already managing cholesterol issues or heart conditions, consuming this much saturated fat in a single sitting creates a genuine cardiac risk that many would never associate with such a familiar comfort food. The portion deception is particularly problematic. The small tin creates the psychological impression of a modest meal, but the extreme caloric and fat density makes it anything but. Many elderly consumers, especially those living alone and cooking for one, view these small tins as appropriately sized single servings, completely unaware of the nutritional havoc they are wreaking on their systems. For older adults with slower metabolisms or gallbladder issues, both common consequences of aging, these ultra-dense processed sources are nearly impossible to digest properly. The result is often prolonged digestive discomfort, bloating, and indigestion that can last for hours after consumption. Yet because macaroni cheese is seen as such a familiar, safe food, few would connect these symptoms to their meal choice. Perhaps most concerning is the type of cheese used in these formulations. Rather than real cheese, many contain processed cheese alternatives loaded with emulsifiers and phosphate additives. Recent medical research has linked these additives to increased inflammation throughout the body, inflammation that directly worsens joint pain and contributes to the persistent low energy levels many seniors struggle with. The marketing of these products deliberately plays on nostalgia and comfort, positioning them as simple home-style foods that provide emotional as well as physical nourishment. For elderly individuals dealing with loneliness or depression, conditions that affect a significant percentage of the senior population, these comfort food associations create a powerful draw toward products that may be actively harming their health. Number 7. John West Tuna in Brine. Now let's examine a product that many people consider a healthy protein source, but that contains hidden dangers for seniors on medication. John West Tuna in Brine may look innocent, but it can create real medication interaction risks for older consumers. Most health-conscious shoppers, including seniors watching their diets, view canned tuna as a nutritious, protein-rich food. In many ways, they are right. Tuna is an excellent source of lean protein and omega-3 fatty acids. But when tuna is preserved in brine rather than water or oil, that nutritional profile is compromised in ways that are specifically dangerous for older adults. A standard serving of tuna in brine contains 400 to 600 milligrams of sodium, which is up to 25% of the daily recommended maximum in a single small portion. By contrast, tuna in water or oil typically contains only 50 to 100 milligrams per serving. This extreme difference creates serious medical risks that most consumers do not expect. For elderly people taking common medications such as diuretics, ACA inhibitors, and certain blood pressure medicines, the hidden sodium can cause dangerous interactions. Diuretics change how the body processes sodium and water. Combined with high sodium foods like tuna in brine, they can trigger electrolyte imbalances that cause dizziness, confusion, irregular heartbeat, and even fainting. Those symptoms are easy to mistake for normal aging rather than a diet and medication interaction. Beyond drug interactions, excess sodium causes fluid retention that aging circulatory systems struggle to handle. Many seniors get swollen ankles and legs after high-sodium meals, without connecting those symptoms to a tuna sandwich at lunch. For people with heart failure or kidney disease, conditions that become more common with age, fluid retention, can trigger serious health crises that require medical attention. What makes this especially insidious is the health halo around canned fish. Many seniors pick tuna because they are trying to make heart-healthy choices, unaware that brine preservation undermines those goals. Marketing highlights omega-3 content and lean protein, while remaining silent about sodium levels that can negate the benefits. The lower price of tuna in brine also matters. It is often cheaper than tuna in water or oil, and that makes it more attractive to seniors on fixed incomes. The most vulnerable consumers, those with both health concerns and tight budgets, are therefore more likely to choose the option that poses the greatest risk to their health. Number 8. Hunger breaks all-day breakfast. This is our final and perhaps most disturbing entry. This canned full English breakfast represents the culmination of everything we have discussed. A perfect storm of chemical preservation, excessive sodium, saturated fat, and processed meat products that are specifically dangerous for aging bodies. Opening one of these tins reveals a concerning sight. Sausages, bacon, baked beans, and sometimes hash browns or mushrooms, all preserved together in a chemical bath designed to maintain some semblance of texture and flavor for months or years on a shelf. But what is really in this convenient breakfast? The processed meats, sausages, and bacon contain nitrates and nitrites, preservatives that have been strongly linked to increased risk of digestive inflammation and cardiovascular problems. For seniors with existing heart conditions, these compounds create a significantly elevated risk of cardiac events. Medical research has consistently shown that processed meat consumption has particularly strong negative effects on older adults with already compromised cardiovascular systems. The sodium content in these breakfast tins is nothing short of alarming. It often exceeds 1,500 milligrams per serving, which is more than 60% of the daily recommended maximum in just one meal. For elderly individuals with hypertension or heart failure, consuming this much sodium in a single sitting creates immediate risk for dangerous blood pressure spikes that could trigger serious cardiac events. The fat content is equally troubling. These tins typically contain 25 to 30 grams of fat, much of it saturated, coming from the processed meats and the oils used to preserve them. For seniors with slower metabolisms and compromised digestive systems, this fat overload can cause severe gastrointestinal distress, while simultaneously raising cholesterol levels and increasing cardiovascular strain. Perhaps most concerning is how these dense, greasy formulations interact with older digestive systems. As we age, digestive processes naturally slow down and the body produces fewer enzymes. When elderly individuals consume these heavy processed breakfast tins, their bodies simply cannot efficiently process such a concentration of fats, proteins, and chemical preservatives. The result is often severe bloating, cramping, and intestinal distress that can last for hours or even days. So there you have it, 8 canned foods creating a genuine health emergency in United Kingdom kitchens, specifically targeting the seniors who trust them most. From sugar-loaded soups to chemical-laden breakfast combinations. This is not food preservation, it is systematic health sabotage disguised as convenience. If you have elderly relatives relying on these products, share this information immediately. It could prevent a serious medical emergency. Check your own cupboards against these warnings and help the seniors in your family transition to safer alternatives before these products cause irreversible damage. And here is the bigger question. If this is happening with something as simple and universal as canned foods, what else in our kitchens might not be what it claims to be? Do not let this information go to waste. Hit that subscribe button right now and share this video with anyone who needs to hear it. Your elderly loved one's health might depend on it. Leave a comment below with what shocking ingredients you have found in your own cupboard. I read every single one.